I'm doing this one. I'm gonna get started soon.
I mean, okay, the program is canceled. Hi, I'm so funny. Hi, I'm Steve, and I'm the publisher of Aspire. I'm so happy all you guys are here. I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to introduce the people that are here. So, and I'll tell you a little bit about the design tour and what's going to happen over the next 2 days. So for you, those of you who have never seen our magazine, pick one up. They're over here right now. If you don't get it in the mail, the good news is that this is my Oprah moment. You get a subscription, you get a subscription. Everybody in the place gets a subscription. So if you signed in, you're getting a free subscription. And then if you hang out with us for the next 2 days, we have some bribery for you. I need you to go to about 7 of the 11 showrooms that we have on the tour. If you hang out for all of them, we have a lot of good offerings for you. I'm not kidding you. Anyway, this panel and all the panels we have, we'll put together to give you guys programming. We support the design community in so many different ways. We've been around it for about 11 years. We've been publishing Aspire. We publish throughout the country. New York metropolitan area is our home. We started in New Jersey about 10 years ago. We expanded to New York about 3 years ago, and now we've expanded across the country. We do this programming all over the place. The panel that we have here today are social media geniuses in design, out of design, all around. I met Deborah von Donop, Deborah. I met Deborah about 2 weeks ago. I was being a Yenta at a trade show, and when I heard her speak, I said, you have to moderate this panel. So I'm going to turn it over to Deborah right now, and she's going to introduce everybody, and let's have some fun and make some connections and all that stuff.
Usually when I'm in trouble, they call me Deborah, but Deborah. Thanks. So excited to be here. Welcome to Aspire Design Tour, Long Island 2019. Today is our first event in a series that's going to occur over the next 2 days here in Long Island. And right now we're at our house, and thank you very much for hosting. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Deborah von Donop. I'm a Greenwich, Connecticut Interior Designer. I also have a blog on DVD interior design. Hello, is that better? How's that? Is that better? A little. From the top? Is that better? Is that better? Yes. Oh, yay! All right, so speaking to the mic, Deborah. All right, so I am Deborah von Donop. I'm an interior designer out of Greenwich, Connecticut. I'm also a decor blogger. I have a blog, DVD Interior Design. And so I'm always very curious about the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is social media, and how to use it to brand your business in design. So I'm really excited. So why are we talking about this? Because we're busy. We're extremely busy. We have so many things to do every day between keeping clients happy, looking for the next client, knowing our resources, managing our office, taxes, all those things. So add to that, you have to do social media now to brand your business. And I know that feels a little overwhelming, but today on this panel we have a lot of people here, great people with great experience. And hopefully they're going to share, and you're going to walk away with at least 3 things that you can do for your business today. So I'll let everybody introduce themselves, and maybe when you introduce yourself, if you can tell us who you are, what you do, but also how you got involved in social media, and how did you leverage it to where you are today, to be using it the way you're using it. So maybe we'll start here.
Can y'all hear me? Yes. Okay, good. I'm Julie Thomas. I'm an account manager.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Welcome to the show. I'm Julie Thomas. I'm an account manager for Andrew Joseph PR. It's a boutique PR firm specializing in interior designers. I have several clients that are interior designers and a couple of them that are furniture manufacturers. And so not all of them do social, but I have about 5 years experience in social media, along with like almost my entire life just being on it in general. And so, yeah, so I'm originally from Louisiana. If you hear a bit of an accent, I was just home. I got in last night, so I was visiting my mama. So if you hear the accent, it's because it hasn't worn off yet. So I'm going to pass this next to me.
Hi, I'm Vanessa De Leon. I'm an interior designer, lifestyle expert, blogger, Instagrammer, all that stuff. TV personality. I've been in business for over 18 years. Social media for me is huge. I drive traffic to social media for my vendors and manufacturers, and I also, fortunate enough, at this point, I actually get clients through social media, so it's really imperative for me to keep that going and to keep it always moving and to make noise in the industry versus just kind of being the fog in social media.
Hello everyone, I'm Nancy Donovan and I'm with Aspire Design at Home. I'm the digital marketing director and social media. So for us it's really important to get new clients, keep in touch with all of our advertisers, and pretty much just for exposure all around. In this day and age you kind of have to have it as a publisher, just to stay current and relevant.
Really loud. The town here. They made it louder. So weird. My name is Lauren Moore. I work for Our House Furniture. I'm the director of social media and influencer marketing. I started about 8 months ago with the company. For 11 years prior, I was working in advertising in Chicago, Illinois, and I've been using social. I'm going to change microphones. 1 second. Okay, that's better. I've been using social media my entire career basically to help build brand awareness, and coming into Our House, something that was really important to me was to help us as a brand figure out how best to use all the different social platforms in different ways to help bring our brand story to life. Because we are a large business, but we're also a small business, and we have a lot of great stories to tell. And if you are not fortunate enough to be by one of our stores where you can come in and learn about the furniture, learn what we stand for, you would never know us. So it's really important for us to work hard on social to get our name out there.
Lauren's here from Chicago.
Here from
Chicago fans here. Welcome to New York.
Thank you. Long commute.
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of like ours this morning. Now, in 2008, Forbes magazine put out an article, and it was titled, "Social Media Has Failed Interior Designers." And basically the whole premise of it this summer when it came out was that we've invested a lot of time and a lot of money in social media, and they believe the results are it doesn't really work for designers. So I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit. If someone's, how is it working for you, and what are some tips that we can use that you think will work for our business and helping us get the name out about our business and reach clients, which is ultimately what we want to do, or reach brands. Sometimes we're just trying to reach a brand and have a relationship there as well. So if you could speak to that a little bit, that'd be great.
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. Why don't you tell us what happened with you on Monday?
What happened with me on Monday?
Did you launch the tile house?
Oh yeah. Well, I guess we'll jump on that. But to tap to what you were saying about Forbes, I guess social media is a little bittersweet, especially in the beginning. Bitter because all of a sudden everybody's an interior designer. They see these posts on the bigger influencers, or someone who is not necessarily a designer but just had a lot of followings because Middle America loves everything curated from I don't know, home goods. No offense to home goods, but sometimes that's what it's all about, right? Just seeing pretty pictures all day long. And what happens to designers, they're sort of, I see it on Instagram, I'm going to go to these places and just get it myself. But as we know as designers, that's not the case. It just looks like a mosh pish podge of things. And I feel like for me, social media, using the leverage and how I use social media is partnering with manufacturers and companies that I believe in. And when I post pictures, they're all real. They're not inspirational pictures. And it's okay to have inspirational pictures because those are important too, because it sort of shows your aesthetic. If you're not designing a lot of things, it shows what you're all about. So for me, I'm all about being true to my brand. So I only post my work. So anything that you see on my social channels is my work. Unless I have a VDA virtual page where I do virtual interior design, and that's inspirational pictures from designers that I love throughout the world. But going back to that, yes, there is this sort of, a lot of people think they're designers now because they see so many pretty pictures and they say that they can put it together because they're hashtagged with all these companies that are on that specific picture. So it's very easy for them to just hit the picture and say, oh, that's from our house, that's from Restoration Hardware, that's from Global Views, that's from this, and I'm going to do it myself. But really what you need for a space is obviously floor plan, space planning, the overall aesthetic, the window treatments, everything that becomes a space. So part of that is true, but the other part of it, you have to sort of use it for your advantage. So whatever your niche is, or whatever you feel is your sort of design aesthetic, or you specialize in nurseries, make sure that your page represents who you are. And people are going to come to you because of what you specialize in and the way that you structure your pretty pictures on Instagram. So there's some truth to that. But at the end of the day, we all know when we go to someone's house and they're like, yes, I did my living room by myself, and you're like, oh my God, this is awful. So you definitely get that. And then you go and you tweak it and you do what you need to do and be like, oh, I saw it on Instagram. These were my inspiration pictures. And I'm like, yes, of course it was. Because they try to curate everything on by themselves, but that's not the case at times. So I think this is the mic.
No, that's this mic. Just put it to my ear. This. Okay, so this one with the thing. Yeah, we'll keep this one over here. Sorry. Technical difficulties with the mic. What I would just say, I'm not an interior designer, but coming from the brand, we love working with designers. As you guys post on social, your projects, we want to share, use our furniture, but we want to share them. And we want to, as we grow, we want to help designers grow. There's no benefit to us to being selfish and not tagging people. So from a brand standpoint, the more you guys post on social, I would say stay true to who you are, obviously. There are a lot of accounts out there, people who think they are designers, but really be true to who you are. And then I do think there's a benefit in tagging the brands that you work with because they can help get exposure. There is an influencer on Instagram we worked with a few months ago who had 6,000 followers on Instagram. And at our house, we saw one of her pictures. It was this beautiful pumpkin decor going down the stairs. And we just thought it was great inspiration. We asked her for permission to share it, just as inspiration to our followers. A month later, so she has 20,000 more followers because this picture blew up. And I'm not saying it's just because of us, but it is nice to share these inspirations, share your designs, and get them out there. I don't think we can, or you guys can rely solely on social media to make or break your business, but there are definitely strategic ways that you can leverage it to help get your style and your name out there.
As someone who does publicity for interior designers, of course, my first thought is, of course it doesn't hurt, it only helps. But after listening to her, I realized that, yeah, it can hurt you in some ways, but I don't think that is an issue exclusive to interior design. I feel like in almost any industry, it can hurt and help. It just depends on how you're using it. Another point that I want to make is that, so the question was, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so how can interior designers leverage social media and drive more communication and conversions for their business?
Right, so I think it's important. She was mentioning inspirational posts. So I had this one designer that wanted to do inspirational posts because she didn't have a ton of content at the moment, was currently working on some projects that hadn't been photographed yet, and that's all well and fine, but she often didn't want to tag the actual designer or mention the other designer, and I felt that that was really inauthentic. So I will recommend, if you're going to use inspirational posts, that is totally fine, but make sure you're tagging each other. We have to support each other in this industry, and so make sure you tag and you give credit where credit is due, because if you don't, then it might look like it's your work, which A, that's stealing, and then B, you don't want a client to come to you and say, I love this design I saw on your Instagram, I'd like to do something similar, and well, oops, you didn't do that design to begin with, so now you either have to tell the client that wasn't your design and it looks bad for your credibility, or then you kind of have to scramble and maybe you can recreate it. But the point is, with a lot of social media can appear to be fake. And I think it's really important for you to stand out by being authentic and being true to your designs and giving credit where credit is due.
That's a good point, because it is a community. You're developing community and conversation. You're supporting each other, hopefully, and you're making friends online that you don't have a chance to meet in person. So yes, you need to be respectful and tag. I think that's a really good point. And also, just that's an evolution, I think, too, in Instagram, that we used to be all inspiration, all beautiful pictures. It's evolving beyond that now. You really need to be giving your followers purpose, I think is what I'm hearing. Like, you know, you're helping them with a problem or something that they're trying to solve, or a resource that you found that you think that they can use. So I think the evolution of Instagram onto providing purpose to people is key to really embrace, right?
I think it has helped you tremendously, because word of mouth communication is so powerful. And so I often know that people will suggest a designer and then say, well, check out their Instagram, because that's a great version of your CV. And so they can go and look at what you've done and then DM you, direct message you, and you can start a conversation and then you can build a relationship. And so you've gained a relationship and then possibly gained a client. And so I think overall it has helped you tremendously, as long as you're using it right, you're being authentic, you're being honest. And I think overall, like, this can really help your future. As she said, the Instagrammer gained thousands more followers. And so you just have to use it strategically and right, and give credit where credit is due. I think that's really important.
So Nancy, do you want to speak? So we've been talking a lot about business to consumer, but you work a lot with business to business in a lot of your Instagram. Do you have any thoughts on how designers can leverage social media for their business?
Yeah, so we do kind of work with everyone. Our Instagram is more of a curation of more what inspires us, since we aren't necessarily designers. We aren't really representing any one person in particular. We kind of just get to curate what we really think represents our message, which is seeking the sublime. So all things that just kind of have more of a story, maybe we like to share. When it comes to like working with other businesses, again, we are gonna share stuff if we obviously like the way it looks aesthetically, and Instagram, we're able to leverage it because it's a really great way to just directly reach out to people using, like, let's say DMs and stuff like that. It's kind of, you don't really need a middleman. If you like something, you could just point it out, hey, we really love this. We'd love to share this in online or print editorial, and we can just move right from there. So I think from our perspective, it kind of speeds up making that connection, and it's really helpful.
So I just wanted to move on a little bit onto strategy, because basically you can post all you want, but if you don't have a strategy, if you're not really trying to achieve something, this kind of, feels like it's a waste in the bucket here. So how do you, focus your time, create a strategy, and then measure if it's working or not typically in your workday?
Sure. I love strategy. For us at our house coming in, it really is, again, if you're representing brand, or if you're representing yourself, who is your brand, you want to know what you stand for. So we obviously post a lot on Instagram, that's our furniture, but we have other values that we stand for. Sustainability, working with artists from around the world, All of these things, we kind of have a list of what we stand for, and as long as it ties back to that, I'm comfortable representing our house on the social platform in those ways. So it is really nice to kind of have those guidelines of what do you stand for, what is your style, what do you believe in, and I think as long as you stay towards that, then you're representing yourself well. And again, strategy-wise, every social platform has a different use. So we're talking a lot about Instagram. It's because we are a very visual community, but everything's a little different. Something else that we use a lot is Pinterest. Pinterest is used a little differently than Instagram. It's also very visual. It's a curation space, and I would say for us, it's our second most important platform.
I'm glad you mentioned Pinterest because we talked so much about Instagram, which, by the way, is owned by Facebook, so you need to be in both of those places.
And you can easily link both Instagram to Facebook to Twitter, so you don't have to constantly be posting on all these channels because it gets a little crazy. So I had to actually go to my page to see, in a perfect world, in my office, we've made calendars that we never follow. So I had to see, okay, what happened this week. So what I do, it's very organic. My life runs on Instagram. So literally, if you go into my story every day, my life is there. So if you want to find me somewhere, you could just go to my Instagram and know when I'm not home, and you can burglarize my house. So for me, I'm authentic in a way that I'm real, and I sort of, everything that I do in the real world is on my live feed. I don't want to put staticky things on my wall because then it doesn't look pretty when you open up the page. So for example, this week we just opened up a restaurant, so my client had a photographer. I used some of those pictures. And I posted those pictures, and that's what happened this week. Come to the grand opening, giving them, a little following on their end. They've got a ton of followers from that, and then, we tag each other. We tag the manufacturers that have helped us, the contractors that pushed it along. We don't tag the contractors that didn't push us along. This week it was BDNY. If any of you, actually some of you were there. I launched my tile line, as we were talking about. So on Sunday.
Saw it on Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah. So the lead up is also important. If something's going to come out, or if you're launching something or doing something, or there's a great project coming up, can't wait to show you pictures. Sneak peek photos with your phone in portrait mode. You don't need to hire a photographer. Portrait mode on iPhone's amazing. Just make sure it's leveled and take a really great shot. Post that, sneak peek coming soon. These are the things that are sort of the lead up to your life, right? And then when you get the photographer in, you take the pictures, and then you have the pretty pictures that you can tell the story. You can put it in as a series of 5, or independently. If you don't have that much work, you can kind of spread it out so it looks like different spaces that you're doing. And these are all the little tricks that you can do to sort of get your, number one, following up. You get tagging all the manufacturers that are in that space, the contractors who helped you. We just did a show house, the Holiday House. So tagging everyone who sponsored the room. And then they're posting those pictures, and then the photographer who photographed that space, or the people that I worked with, like other companies, will tag me back, and then it's just like this whole tagging thing, and all of a sudden we have hundreds of followers. And that's how it works, like this domino effect.
Community.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to point out one other thing too, Vanessa. You've done really well connecting with brands, but also as a designer trying to reach consumers, not every project you do can get into a magazine when you're done, and for a variety of reasons. So social media is really a great place for you to self-publish, to share projects that aren't going to end up in a magazine. So it's a wonderful opportunity that we have today that we didn't have a few years ago. So really think of it as a place to self-publish yourself, or republish an article that was in a magazine last year, because it doesn't mean I read it last year, so why don't you share it with me? Why don't you share with me your accomplishments? It's actually a great place to stay top of mind.
That's a really good point, because when you photograph a space, the pictures that are being selected are 4 or 5 pictures for one full spread, right? So you have various pictures throughout the house, detailed shots. Those are always really great to see. So having those posted, the work doesn't look old. It still looks fresh and new because it's something that hasn't been seen. And absolutely, I mean, unfortunately, not Aspire because Aspire is themom.com, but a lot of magazines are folding, and it's almost because of this whole social network. And it's unfortunate because I love a good magazine. I love that coffee table magazine, and I think that sort of loses like what design's all about. You keep it there. I can tell you magazines that I have stacked that I had to like kind of purge, but I love magazines. But yeah, that's just a great way of getting yourself out there, and then tagging the magazines because they'll see something and they're like, oh, I like this. Maybe we'll use this as an inspirational, as you mentioned. For the picture with the pumpkins. I mean, those are things that if you tag the right people, it's going to get to the right person, and then it's going to be retagged, and that's how you create the following.
So like for us, sometimes we use Instagram not so conventionally. We'll do things like takeovers based around someone's travels or a specific show house or event. So something for a designer that's helpful is to reach out to Aspire and other publications that may also do this, and just kind of send a proposal that wasn't asked for, and just say, I'm participating in this show house, I'm going to have some professional photography done, and I'd love to do some sort of takeover or editorial or work with you. And usually from there, you'll kind of spit back and forth with some ideas, and you can end somewhere great and be shared on Instagram or site or Pinterest, and just have something really cool that you didn't originally intend for with work that you're already doing. So it's just a great way to kind of take what you're doing and make it something even bigger.
So I love social media strategies and analytics. I really, really love analytics. I think they're so helpful. If you don't have your Instagram set up as a business profile, do it right now. I'll wait. It's so incredibly helpful. I'll give you some examples. I had this one client where, Hootsuite and all of the platforms have really great analytics that are very helpful, but I like to I like to dig deep into the analytics and not only look at the engagements, such as comments or likes, but really see the reason behind why a post might got more engagement than another. For example, had this one client that would share content directly from Instagram right onto Facebook. It's not necessarily recommended, but I know that we are all busy and that happens. And so I went and was looking at, because some posts were doing really well and some weren't doing well at all. So what I found was that the posts on Instagram that had emojis, more emojis than hashtags, did really well. And the posts that had more hashtags than emojis didn't do as well. But then the complete opposite happened on Facebook. It's the same content that was being shared, exact same content. So the content on Facebook that had hashtags did better than emojis. It was the oddest thing. And I went back and did that for about 6 months worth of content. And that was a continuous thing that I saw. And Hootsuite's not necessarily going to tell you that. And so my recommendation to the client was on Instagram, keep with the emojis, maybe use less hashtags, and then for Facebook, vice versa. And so, yes, the analytics can be so helpful to see, this post got more engagement or more likes or more reach, but to know why that actually happened can be so helpful. And so I encourage you to really take a look at your analytics and not just look at them, because if you're just looking, then they're just numbers. But if you look at what the purpose was behind those analytics, it can really help transform your page. Unfortunately, we quit working with those clients soon after I did that, so I haven't really seen what has happened or if those strategies were put in place. But I just thought that was a really interesting find, and you can find other incidences like that, where maybe that you use the hashtag Aspire, and every time you use hashtag Aspire Metro, it got a ton more likes than the other posts without. So if you really are looking at the content that you're using and which posts are doing better and kind of look for a pattern, it can be really helpful to your overall strategy. And I highly recommend that you do a content calendar. I know that that's like almost like in a perfect world, you have time to sit down and plan and strategize, and this is a little plug for myself as a publicist. You know, if you hire someone to do those things, it could be easier. But if you just sit down and maybe do it a week in advance, or at least have 5 to 7 photos that you know you want to use next week. Maybe you don't have the captions written because you're too busy for that, which is absolutely fine. But having an idea for what you want to do for next week or the week after can really actually be a time saver. Because when you think that you want to post, now you don't have to go and search for a photo that feels right and then come up with a caption. You might already have the photo to use, or you might have both, and then it's just simple copy and paste it, upload, you're done with social for the day. So taking time out early in the week to plan for the week can actually save you a lot of time and really help your overall social media strategy.
Yeah, that's a great point. First of all, I love analytics too, because I think I know what the audience is, but I don't. And I can only find that through the analytics. It's really kind of key. As far as a content calendar, can I tell you about mine? It's a little sticky. It's on the side of my computer. And it says, and I have 7 types of posts that I create. So one of them is definitely, I'm out and about. And then I'll do something about me personally, like I want you to know who I am as a person. And then I'll share like a resource or something interesting from my community. And then I'll share about my post that's on my blog. So I have like these 7 things, and I just kind of go through it. So it's really maybe twice a month that I'm sharing my portfolio. I'm sharing about myself. I just follow those 7 things, and it makes it so much easier for me to think of what to post. Because otherwise I become overwhelmed. It's Christmas. I don't have table setting. So, but I did go to a museum, and I do have something from my portfolio, and I have a picture with my son. I have like these little like snapshots of interesting things that I believe have a little purpose about me as a designer. So yes, content strategy is key, but sometimes I think that little sticky is enough too.
And maybe pay attention to that. Like, wow, the posts that were about me personally did really well. That means I need to post more stuff about who I am, because it seems like my followers like me and like what I do. Or you might find the opposite. Wow, these posts don't do as well. They don't like my husband as much, so I'm going to post less of him and more of something else. So paying attention.
Show your bunny.
Yeah. So paying attention to the type of content and if they like it or not can be really helpful. And don't just say, well, it's on my calendar and I'm always going to post this, so that's what I'm doing. You've got to be flexible in this industry, and you've got to learn to adapt. And I know y'all know that, but it's just really important to say.
Yes, it's true.
And add a hashtag sexy to any of your pictures. Every time I add sexy, all of a sudden that picture gets a lot more likes. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know if people are like hashtagging sexy all day. So I was like, I kind of almost want to write hashtag sex to see if that happens and be like, oh, sorry, I meant to have put sexy on there instead. Yeah, probably not. Definitely your work.
But to that point, hashtags, while you don't want to go overboard with them, you should be using them, because people can actually follow hashtags now. And that is a great way to get people to discover you. And through analytics, you can actually see how people are discovering you. If it's more through their feed, or if it's more through hashtags, and local, and tag your locations, because people get fed up. We get fed up content based on our location. If you look at posting organically, I'd say max 5% of people who follow you are ever going to see your post. So the more you can tag and insert yourself into other conversations, the easier it will be for people to see what you're talking about.
Yeah, and just to go off that again, with everything other than hashtags, I think it's great to always include everything that you know. If you know where the location is, put it in. If you know who the vendors are, put it in. If you know who helped screw in the light bulb, tag them. Yeah, photographer, of course. And in your description, sometimes it's nice to do some sort of quote or a little snippet about the piece. But aside from just tagging it, it's also a great spot to write it out again too. rather than just like tagging each location, because now you have the small percentage of followers that you're going to reach organically. You have people that may be looking at that location. You have every brand looking at it. You have every contractor looking at it. They're all excited. They're all going to share it with their people, and now it can blow up. So you just got to put the work in.
One more tip. Stay engaged, like constantly be part of conversations on people's feeds that you follow and people who follow you, because the algorithm as it is right now for a lot of things, especially Instagram and Facebook, are people who are consistently engaged with you will get fed up your post. People who do not engage with you, if you just follow someone and never interact with them, you're not going to see anything they post. And potentially Instagram or Facebook or whatever the platform is could remove that follower from you. They just did something this summer. Yeah, where they removed followers from a lot of accounts that were inactive, and these could be from bots. I know there have been a lot of issues with that, or from companies who purchase followers. So just stay engaged, make sure the content that you're creating is engaging. It's something that people want to share, want to talk about, and you'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Thank God they get rid of those bots. That's good. We're going to go to questions. So if you have any questions for everybody here at the panel, I'd like to go to that. But I'm going to ask one last question, because we have so many social media platforms, and some people say it should be LinkedIn. We've talked a lot about Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter. I'd like each of you to give me a recommendation for interior designers. Where do you think we should be and why?
For me, I've had great success with Instagram. And only because, a lot of it's TV driven. When I was on Terry Crews and I did a show together a couple of Christmases ago, and he tagged me on he had me on one of his pictures and tagged my name on the picture, and I was like, oh my God. Like these are the sort of things that for me, it just, my celebrity clientele have put me on their page, and I don't ask them, you can't ask them to do that, but they do it, and that's how I drove so much traffic to my Instagram. So that's where it's at for me, only because I use the leverage of these celebrities to sort of help me. Well, they did it on their own, but that helped me with my Instagram. So they didn't tag me on the Facebooks, they didn't tag me on the Twitters of the world. So for me, it's Instagram, but that's only because it's a biased thing, because of how that happened.
I think for us, it would start with Instagram, and then not far behind that would have to be Pinterest. Both are pretty highly engaged with. A little bit different on Pinterest. Again, you have to make sure in your caption to include a lot of information, because that's a lot of people just saying, I like this, and then pinning it, and then looking back at it whenever they have the free time to. So you have to make sure that you set up all your pins properly when using that. So yeah, Instagram and Pinterest for
Wait,
us.
I actually want to say something about Pinterest. So I would also advise having your web people also link a Pinterest icon to your photograph. So when people are on your website, that I could actually pin right from your website. So that is also a good key point to make, because your stuff could be rotating on Pinterest as well.
I agree. Our number one right now is Instagram, and something that we're leveraging a lot is Instagram stories. I'm not sure if you guys are using it, but there's a lot of innovations with Instagram stories. It's actually the fastest growing social platform ever. As a brand, and if you have a business profile and get over a certain number of followers, there are a lot of opportunities to link directly to products, to do swipe ups, to lead to any website, anything with a URL. And there's a lot of interactivity there that can help build your audience. And so that's really important for us. And then the second, again, would be Pinterest. And it's just a little different platform. Obviously, it's curation, but everything that's on Pinterest links directly to a page. It links directly to a product. And I think it's 70-something% of people who go on Pinterest have purchase intent. People are going on Pinterest because they're throwing that holiday party, or because they're trying to figure out how to decorate a room for twins. Whatever that is, they know they're going to buy something, they know they're going to be doing something. So it's a really great sales platform.
I'm going to follow that along with absolutely Instagram. What you do is visual, so of course it's where you need to be. If you were a writer, I would suggest you get on Facebook or Twitter. But you work in visuals, so that's 100% where you need to be. And I agree that Instagram stories are so cool. You can, and it's not like it is with Snapchat where it goes away and then it's done and you can't ever see it again. You can save it to your page and you can have a fun icon to where they all look the same. It's very uniform. The highlights, yeah, you can add it as a highlight to your page and so it stays there. And so you've created this really cool Instagram story and now you get to save it as an extra piece to your Instagram. And don't feel like really stressed out, oh my gosh, how do I even do an Instagram story? Because when this first came out, I didn't know how to do an Instagram story. I was at a social media conference in New York and Bustle was talking about their Instagram stories and how they do it with their actual iPhone, because I was like, oh, it's all going to be production, that's how they do it. But no, I asked that question, they said we all do it with our actual cell phones. And it just takes time to kind of put it together. And there's so many really helpful articles out there. So if you feel stressed out, like, I don't know how to do an Instagram story, these look really great. Well, recommendation is Bustle has really great stories. And then just Google Bustle, B-U-S-T-L-E. Bustle. It's a news platform. They're just really fun, and I like them. They have fun memes, and they'll also do little shows sometimes on there. But just Google how to do an Instagram story. There's so many helpful articles out there, so don't feel stressed out about it. A lot of people are not even leveraging like they should be, so if you get in on it, you might be ahead of it. So yeah, definitely Instagram above anything else.
Yeah.
We're doing. Everybody should take out their phone, actually.
Yeah, you should. And you should just do live. Just so you know, people don't trust advertising, so they do like something that's a little rough, a little organic and natural, number one. And number two, stories is the way to build your Instagram following. Just posting pictures every day is not going to do it for you anymore. The algorithm's changed. Oh, hello. And, oh, you guys are all on live now.
Yeah.
So, hey, hi, Spider-Man.
So really quick, actually, I think this will be fun, and we'll hashtag our house and Aspire. So just go to your Instagram, everybody. Let's do this. This will be so much fun. Okay.
Oh, it'll be a blast.
Okay, so go to so you know how to actually get to the camera, right? Okay, so at the bottom says type, live, normal, boomerang, you know where all that stuff is. All right, so right now, everybody get on and just hit. And let's say...
Live from Air House, New York.
And now we're just spin the room and boom. So now we're going to swipe up. Everybody knows where the swipe up is, right? We're going to hit location, and we're here at our house. They're going to come up right away because I just posted them this morning.
My phone's over there. But we're live at Facebook too, so you know.
So then you're going to hit the at location. Do you see the at location?
You're making this assumption that everyone knows, but some of us have no idea.
Okay. So the people that do or don't, we'll get back to that maybe after. But at the bottom, you're going to swipe up, and that's where your location. So that's where important when we're talking about locations, where you hit the location, and it's going to actually show here. And then the at would be our house, and it would be Aspire Magazine. They have a great social platform. And then you can put the time and then play around. And these are all the little icons that you can add, like she was saying about the emojis, because these are fun little activities. So the live walls also gives you the opportunity to ask a question, and this is great because you can have people asking you questions, and it's so funny because there's a lot of people that don't engage with me, and then the people that want to ask questions, they do ask the questions privately, so then you could answer them back either privately or you could post it on your page, which is really interesting.
You could say, are you on design tour today?
Right, exactly.
DM me.
There you have it.
And my recommendation is to just play. Just play on it. That's what I always tell some of my clients when they're trying to get to know social media. Just play on it, and then you can always, the little X at the top left-hand corner, if you don't like what you're doing, X out. Or if you accidentally post it to your story, you can delete it. So just get on there and play and figure it out. Add a fun emoji, add a fun, is it GIF or GIF? I never know. I say GIF. Add a fun GIF, like somebody doing the Running Man on top of your photo. It's just play and figure out your style and what you like to do.
But I have to say, remember, it's a story. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So basically, you want to introduce people to what you're about to do. You want to tell them what they're seeing. You want to have like a really interesting piece to that. And then you can curate an ending later. You don't have to do it all right away. But it's always good to remember this is a story. Your English teacher spent a long time teaching you about the structure of a story. So apply that to your stories and you will be very successful.
And watch other people's stories, see what they're doing, and you might like something that they're doing and figure out how you can do that as well.
And tag us so we can follow you guys back.
Anybody have any questions? If you want to raise your hand, I think this is a great time to go into questions. And do we have a mic that can travel? All right, so I'll just have you maybe stand up and ask your first question, if you don't mind standing up, so we can hear you.
Clarify again on the emojis. I get the whole thing about it's different for Instagram versus Facebook, etc. But at which point are you putting the emojis in? Are you doing it in the first part of your images and you have a little story or a headline, whatever? Or are you saying to do emojis when you're responding to other people's posts?
All of it, I guess. So that's not an actual rule. That just happened to be what was going on with that client and their followers. It was just a trend, and so something that was happening with their followers. We all have different followers. What may have worked then might not work for you. You might find the opposite. My suggestion was just kind of look for patterns, but you can add an emoji within the text if it makes sense, at the very end if it makes sense. I will say, another tidbit about that real quick was that one client was also using the red balloon emoji a lot, and it didn't make sense. And so make sure your emojis, just like hashtags, are relevant. You know, make sure they're relevant. The red balloon emoji was in a lot of posts, and I always think of It, the movie. And so I told them, I was like, if at least one person thinks of Stephen King's It when they look at your post, that's too many. And so don't use that red balloon anymore unless you actually have red balloons in your photo. But and with responding to someone, if it makes sense, make sure if you're responding, you know how sometimes your phone it'll highlight the word. If you say like, hey boo, it'll try to change boo to the actual like ghost emoji. Do you know what I'm talking? If you think that's fun, do it. If it literally doesn't make sense and now this sentence is confusing, don't do it. The whole point about this is to be clear and communicate and be fun while you're doing it. Did that answer your question?
Another question? I wanted to know, hi, I'm an interior designer. How many clients have you acquired through this whole social media?
This is for me?
Well, whoever does an interior designer on the panel.
I think the clients.
Yeah, so this month alone, 2 clients through social media. So I haven't done a total of, one client actually that we've had we're doing the entire house from the ground up. The husband and wife separately found me, which is really weird. So they were saving off the same pictures and the same things. And then she messaged me, and then he called the office. And then the name sounded familiar, and I'm like, wait a minute. And we put 2 and 2 together, and they're like, oh my God, my wife's following you. And then it's like, oh yeah, and it was like, wow, that's really impactful. I mean, that never happens, but that was just a weird coincidence how that did happen.
There's a whole, I've been in this field for a long time, so that's why I'm here today, because I'm trying to understand.
Sure.
The younger generation of designers.
Yep.
And listening to you, I see that this is an extremely important communication.
Yes.
For you. For me, it's not important. I get clients, I have clients, I have repeat clients, I get new clients. In my business that I've developed, privacy is a very important.
Yes, and that is actually a really good point.
I don't think that I think it's very difficult
Yes.
to, with everything that you're telling us, to keep, first of all, you have to get the client to approve anything that is taken in their home, to put on social media. If you
Right.
don't do that, you're in big trouble. How do you tell your clients and make sure that they're not going to be bombarded
That's a great question. Okay, so you photograph your work, right? Because you build a portfolio.
Yeah, I'm not really, social media, and I'm not putting this down because I'm perfectly aware that it's very important today.
Yeah, no.
Is definitely, but it also takes a lot of time. And like I'm a private practitioner.
Right.
I've been trained well enough to do my business by myself, and so far I've been able to handle that. But social media, I don't have the time to put into what you're telling, what you're all talking about today. I have to hire somebody to. I just don't have the time to do it.
And that's okay. So to your point, there are many companies like these women right here that all they do is specialize in that, and you do what you do best. There's some designers that just are a little bit more savvy and are able to do it, and there's some designers that are young and hate doing it, and they hire groups to do it.
Basically, you really need somebody, if you're a designer and you want to be successful with social media and use it, you really should have somebody doing it for you with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's something that
I think it's it's imperative to have. You don't have to. There's many companies that, fortunately, just specialize in different categories.
That I know, but it's also an expense. It's another expense.
Yes, but think about it as your advertising expense because it's worth it.
Is it worth it in terms of for a designer, not for a PR person or somebody?
Yeah.
Is it worth it to spend that kind of time and money? How many clients do you get out of this? What do you so have?
Yeah, so we as our house, anyone who tags us who's using our furniture, we are always looking for content to share. And we want it to be authentic. So we will reach out to people who are consistently tagging us because they're using our projects, or they're using us for their projects. And if it's something we want to highlight and we don't feel like the photography really shows it off, we'll contact you and say, hey, we want to go take pictures of your place. You can use them, we can do it, we can use it for you can use it for your portfolio, we can use it to highlight you. There's a designer that we highlighted on our Instagram stories a few months ago. She called us within the first week. She had multiple people reach out for jobs. And she didn't even have a big social following. I think her daughter helped her set it up. But because we highlighted her, she got all these calls, and we were able to say, here's her phone number. Well, we didn't say her phone number, but we told our audience, here is a designer who's using our house. We're sharing them because we want to. If you want to work with her or a designer like her, contact XYZ.
Just a quick note to that. You're asking, like, is it worth it? And I know we have other questions. I know this one designer who was contacted through Instagram from a princess in Abu Dhabi who saw the work on Instagram, hired her to do work, and that was thousands and thousands of dollars. And so for her to have Instagram, boom, worth it automatically right then and there.
I think the key is just show up. You don't have to be Insta famous, you don't have to have thousands of followers, but you have to show up and you have to be there. I mean, this is a chance for you to script your life and to reach new people. And so the key is just, be there, be present, and things can happen for you.
I just wanted to say something. Exactly what you said. It makes you relevant. And one of the ways that you get more followers and get out there is hashtag all your vendors and all the suppliers. That really brings a lot more followers and a lot more people to that page. And those vendors also help you get ratings and those suppliers. So we do that all the time. I'm fortunate enough to have someone in my office, one of my staff that does that.
Yeah, and by the way, you do not have to be a millennial to do this. So humor right here. It's just do it. Just show up. Just pick out one thing you want to do, and then just be consistent. And then surprise what happens. Your net gets cast. You cast a net. You meet peers that you never met before. You meet brands. We're hearing a lot of business-to-business communications that you couldn't have before. So these are really exciting times for us. We have, get back here.
Hi, so I'm new to Instagram, a little old school, as some designers are. But I work primarily on my laptop, and I realize that Instagram is an OS system. So all of my past projects, everything is on my computer.
actually like to do, and I might be alone here, but this is my strategy. If it's on my computer, I will email myself the text that I want to have with the picture attached. And I go to my phone and I copy the text that I sent exactly how I wanted it, save the attachment to my images, then I go right into Instagram and I double tap, paste it, it's there, upload the photo. So it's kind of what I do to help make sure that I'm typing it right, because sometimes, I'm more likely to have errors if I do it on my phone than if I type it. So that's a strategy that I like to use. And then if the photo is on your phone, then just email yourself the text if you want to, if that's easier.
I'd just like to say I also do typically work the same way, just because I find it easier to organize my thoughts. When I'm working it in an email on my phone, it's kind of hard to see if I made a grammatical error or something even simple like that. So kind of typing it out in an email, you can kind of proofread yourself before, posting it and then realizing you made a mistake and having to fix it after the fact.
So I have terrible ADD. So what I do is any pictures that come through my photographer, I have him automatically upload it to a Google Drive. So the Google Drive is on my computer and then right on my phone. So then from the Google Drive, you save it right to your phone, so it's easy. And then I dictate what I want to write on the picture. Obviously, you have to go back to proofread it because I've written sec and it wrote sets. So these are the things that you have to.
But they got it.
But it wasn't sexy. I said in a sec you'll see the whatever it was and it typed it out. So I always go back and read it. But I dictate it on my phone. I look at it and then I add the hashtags. And you could actually say hashtag stylish, hashtag aspire, hashtag, and it'll write the hashtag out for you. So it makes it easy if you're driving, or not driving, if you're at a stoplight, and you can actually post this. So.
And then something that I recommend to everyone is looking at using the Plan app, PLANN. It's free. It lets you drop 60 to 90 photos in there. You can, with your finger, move them around to see what order, what will look best. You can actually pre-write any descriptions in there, add hashtags. You can also schedule it for when you want to post. So it's a really nice planning tool.
That's a great one. Also, Planoly. I'll mention Planoly. Plan and then OLY is another great one. These are great ways that you can spend like one day, one morning setting up your week, and then let it just automate for you. So it's really helpful.
I have a question for Vanessa. Have you ever been on House? And well, nobody's mentioned House, and I feel like that's a pretty big source for interior designers to get business.
Yeah, I do. I have House. I have been on House, and then you could do like a membership that they put you kind of higher rank.
Did you ever? How did you start? Did you start on Instagram or?
Actually, believe it or not, I started on HGTV portfolios.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that
so
was
HGTV has a profile. This was years ago. This is like after the design shows. Then I felt like it kind of was an automatic tie-in. So HGTV portfolio and House.com. That's how I started putting my portfolio work up. And then from there, social media sort of took over. So the other stuff kind of fell by the wayside. But it's a good platform as well. The only thing I don't like about House is that they start pricing things in your space that are necessarily not the right pricing. So you can see what an entire house that you did, and maybe that you don't want to expose. So that's the only thing I don't like about it, because they started doing those tags.
What are your thoughts on balancing offering your exclusive service? Because my clientele, obviously, they want to feel like they're getting something no one else can, and that your talent and your vision is unique to their project. And that's a business value that I try to uphold. And balancing that with the wonderful community that is so open and shares information, when you get a lot of DMs or open comments,
from our perspective, yes, it's great that through things like Instagram, you can click and see exactly what product somebody's featured in the photo. And that is part of sharing the community. But something we also try to push is our design services. Because you can take one table or one bookshelf and do it a million different ways. And to be able to design a space with your client, and then afterwards you love it so much and they love it so much that you want to capture it and share it for inspiration. I think that that's flattering. And no one will really be able to people could try to recreate their spaces, obviously, but that relationship that the designer has with their client really is creating a space that is special to them. I mean, that's from my point of view. That's all I can say.
So for me, a lot of clients will go on to the social page because they don't go to your website anymore, they go to your social pages, right? And they love specific projects. But what I tell them is that I'm not repeating that project. Your project is going to be an individual, it's going to be unique, it's going to be authentic to you. But what I do is install or do installations that are unusual for the space. So you can use this table over in a million different settings, whether you're doing a crazy wallpaper on the ceiling and different upholsteries on the seats, or layering carpets in different installations, the window treatments. Like, all those things are going to make you who you are, and that's going to represent who your style is. So I think that just knowing that your clients, that for you don't repeat what you have on your portfolio, and there's something about your aesthetic that translates. So that's why they're going to you. So.
How do you respond graciously to those comments that come back asking for specific sources, or where can I get that?
Oh my God, I get those all the time.
So like I had a client,
Oh yeah.
she saw, and she texted me separately, are you going to tell them that? And I was caught off guard. Of course, I want, like I said, you want to share information and be helpful, but on the other hand, I was thinking, well, she's kind of, wondering, oh, hey, so now this person's going to get the advice that I paid for.
Right.
For free.
I tiptoe around that, but I do it graciously. You write, oh, isn't that a great piece? There's many different manufacturers. Would love for you to inquire about our design services, and we can advise more, whatever. Yeah, there's ways that you can tiptoe around that. Yeah.
So we'll probably go for one more question.
Or someone who hasn't asked one yet? Please, thank you.
I noticed that with the longer format for IGTV is different than Instagram stories. What's the best way of leveraging that or getting it out there?
So we haven't really gone into IGTV yet. For my personal opinion, that seems kind of more curated and more production-based. Just from what I've seen, it's brought in, edited a little more heavy. So if you're looking to do that, maybe if you're looking to kind of produce more of a developed story, let's say, professionally speaking, I think that's a good platform to start using that. And then Instagram Stories is, again, I think a little quicker to the point and more user-friendly for everyone to use without having to kind of jump back and forth between editing software and their phone. So
I just think it's too much. So it gets to a point that where do you stop? And it is much more production based. So I like it to be more authentic, to really be in the life of me and not edited or not completely filtered, or it's just so much. You just can't take it all, and then it's like, oh wait, I have a business to attend to. So
Great question.
Don't call Stephen, but
We'll go for one more.
Question, I think, for all of us. If you could tell us more about the algorithms, particularly for Instagram, because that's what I find most challenging, that they change so often, so you don't really know what they're looking for you to post so that everybody can actually see it.
does change so often. I know that most recently what we're working off of is a bunch of different types of posts. So posting singular pictures, posting galleries, posting videos, posting Instagram stories. Make sure you're like kind of well-rounded with all of that. And then that seems to be like you'll rank higher rather than if you're just posting one individual picture on your page every day, let's say. You'd be better off doing stories as well, and you know, kind of just making it more well-rounded. So.
And to the algorithm, that's always changing. Please look at your analytics with the times that you're on. It will actually show you on Instagram people who follow you and who are interacting with your posts, what times they're most likely to be on. And yeah, it is constantly changing, but if you can try to time it a little bit, we have seen benefit in that, because it will get served up to you when we know people are coming home from work or commuting in the morning.
So that concludes our session today, but everybody will be here for a little while. If you have any additional questions, we would love to meet you personally. I would love to hear from Our House. This was a great hosting and in this beautiful building, by the way. So thank you very much to Our House for that. So thank you for coming today. Just remember, social media is something you can do for yourself, and it's really important. And hopefully you have just 3 tips that you can take away today to do differently and help you reach out and cast your net beyond where you are today, whether it's friends, clients, or brands. And we wish you much success. So if you would just wait for a minute, I think we have a few bits of information about where we're going next and from Our House. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Karen Reed. I'm the store manager of Our House. That's Raul Montero, assistant manager, and Caitlin Martinez. We meet with the management team here. On behalf of Our House, we'd like to thank everybody for coming out today and for Aspire. This has been a great event that we've been really happy to be a part of. If you haven't already signed up for our trade program, you can do that today. You can have many benefits from signing up. Please, you'll see one of the Our House employees with the name tags. Some downstairs, you can sign up at the resource table. In addition, we're offering today, if you do show us that you're following us, we'll be able to offer you a 10% off special incentive. So that's good. Also, so a little, I don't know if all of you are familiar with Our House, a little bit about our company. We've been in business for over 30 years, based in Cleveland, Ohio. We source all of our beautiful product from all over the world. It's a wonderful, wonderful company. We feel like it's a real strong family, and a lot of our items come from Italy. Our upholstery is made in the United States, so it's very exciting to be able to showcase our showroom today. We want to thank Holly Porter. She's our House trade representative, and she did a lot of work to put this together. We want to thank Aspire Magazine very much for all their hard work in putting this event together, and for the panel. Great job today, ladies. Thank you so much.
Like she said, I'm a senior manager of trade services with Our House, and Lauren and I actually work very, very closely together. So I do want to do a quick shout out to all the trade members here today. During 2019, it is very much a part of the Our House social media strategy to really start working more and to get more involved with the trade in the area. So please reach out to us, follow us, and we're looking to do a lot of features and help be another publication where you can post projects using our product. So that was my little shout out for that. Oh, and then we're going to do drawing.
I want to feature you on our pages. So send us your projects, tag us, follow us on Instagram. Because really, going into your homes and being able to document your projects and share you guys as designers is way more fun and way easier than me trying to find a house to shoot random product in. Seriously.
So we're going to do a drawing. We're going to do a drawing for some great prizes. Our first one here is a faux first row. Do you want to come draw? Oh, that's the promotion. Crystal potion. All right, we have another throw. And this is for Cindy Pasavia. Yes. All right, and then the grand prize is a throw and 2 pillows. Marilyn H. Rose. You get it. And we have bags for you too. You guys can carry so it doesn't get wet. And then I think Aspire is going to give some directions about the next step. But like Karen said, before you leave today, if you show us you're following us at our house on Instagram, you're going to get a 10% incentive to be valid through December 3rd. All right? So who with Aspire?
So thanks everybody. So we have a lot of great programming. I want to thank our house. I want to thank this great panel. So we're going to, just a few housekeeping issues. Some of the places that we're going to go to have limited parking. We have 2 shuttles out here. 2 guys that we just paroled from jail this morning, so they're nice guys. So we have 2 shuttles. The next stop is going to be California Closets. I don't know if everybody's been to the new California Closets location. It's awesome. It's at 25 Northern Boulevard, Greenvale. We have a CEU, which is going to be great. And then we follow with 2 programs, one at Showcase Kitchen, one at Pog and Cole Breakfast Room. And then after that, there's a panel with we'll close with Mitchell Gold, Bob Williams. So if anybody has any questions, you have your own transportation, that's cool. If you need the shuttles, they're out there waiting. They're in white buses. Network. We have a lot of great things coming up along the way. See you next stop. Thank you. Do you know where the next one is?
All right, I don't know who's turning the wind. The wind tunnel.
Are these your plans?
No. It's Johnston.
What about
Across the track. Now you can't
you.